like of Washington, D.C., where John Wilkes Booth and incidents relating to the assassination of Lincoln. A variety of very simple templates. So I was hired, one of my tasks last year was to go find out what other people are doing, okay? So this is a paper I actually presented at the AEG. How have story maps impacted people, right? And I looked at thousands of them. Easy to do. And develop a taxonomy for the use cases at a higher education. How would you use a story map, right? So, students can do class exercises, right? Say, go do a tour of the campus, go do something about the community. Group projects, learning to collaborate. It's a real alternative to a term paper, okay? So instead of handing a term paper, post a story map online and have your instructor read it. Faculty can do class content. I'm going to show you a couple examples that instead of using PowerPoints, do a story map. Flip the classroom. Have the students use the classroom time to collaborate, right? Collaborate on and work together and generate their story map. You can get content online outside of the classroom time, right? Post research findings, highlight field experiences, acknowledge sponsors, do some service, community support, a number of things, tutorials, etc. The staff, you can promote and publicize existing programs, support institutes and centers at the campus, highlight specialized collections, and inform users about facilities, things like accessibility, construction, planning, a whole variety of different things. Let me jump ahead. So here's a student portfolio, right? This student was at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Right? Instead of writing a resume, she produced a story map. Here's all of her different applications, right? And I showed this to one person, I'd hire her, right? So it's a wonderful way to package stuff, right? Package stuff up. In my book on STEM and GIS, there was a class project at Stanford. They generated a class project at the request of the governor on water issues in California. This is really an important one. And this woman was highlighted in Art News that came out last week. She was at the time she was at Oregon State in spring. Our geography diploma, we have made an intentional effort to align our curriculum so that undergraduate students introduce the fundamental functions of ArcGIS online story maps, and upper division courses go well beyond the basics. In her classes in human geography, her students made over 300 story maps, okay? And look at this. No dedicated class time. She just put the resources out there. She used not something called Blackboard, they call it Canvas. She used Blackboard here? So you just put the stuff out there, and you said, go do it and hand in your story map. No addition, no interruption to your class time. Kind of interesting, huh? And here are examples that she did, right? Her students did a variety of different story map applications. And she came up with actually a taxonomy of how you grade these things, which is an important thing. They're actually thinking, there's serious discussion right now of a journal that would, peer referee journal that would evaluate these story maps, right? At the University of Minnesota, 150 different departments have generated story maps. Guy at the University of Michigan. Does Michigan have a geography program? Okay. This guy, a wonderful guy, his title is advocate. Okay? So here are the courses where he's introduced students to story maps. Judaic studies or anthropology, African, goes on and on. Some of the best ones are Jewish urban cafe culture. Right? So you capture this stuff and you look at, you get a spatial term, right? A new lens, right? Who are these guys at Clemson? They asked me to do GIS day up there today, but I came here. Here are some application areas at Clemson right now. Public health, history, political science, human rights. They just published a paper, the people at Clemson just published a paper on developing and evaluating Esri story maps as an educational tool to look at erosion issues. And the students loved story maps as a way to get that. 130 Clemson physics students created story maps. Okay, various examples of basically the physics of climate change. At Clemson, you can go to a story map and check out a book in the library. University of Washington has its campus map. Harvard has its map collections out there. Here we have a number of people. We have about 300 story maps in our organization. Right, Kevin? Yeah. These are right from our website. Probably the best example that I can give you, right, is that Jory Fleming produced maybe the best story map in the country last year on gerrymandering. Okay, and some of you were involved in helping him do that. If you don't know Jory, he's now a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford. Right? They wanted to feature him at the Esri conference this year, but this was a wonderful example of him. Instead of doing a term paper, doing a story map. Right? And providing the ability to actually interact with it, crowdsource new additions to that. Just wonderful. I don't even know, I just probed around in our library the other day. There's a very nice African-American historic site. You know who that is?
I got the funding. Chris made it.
Oh, wonderful. Terrific example. Great. No, it's wonderful. Various African-American historic sites. They could dig quite deeply. There's another one on the business school done, Kevin.
I don't know that one at all.
See, we don't even know it, right? These are people in our campus who've done these things and we don't even know it. Environmental science, I think some of Kupfer students doing swipe maps so you can see, before and after activities. Historic maps, right? So you do slides, or you can do this little this little spyglass thing where you can probe into it. Lake Murray, before Lake Murray was there. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to sum this up very quickly. I spent a lot of time looking at what libraries in higher education are doing with story maps and other things. University of Kansas, kind of interesting, it's a very strong geography program, but the Kansas University Library has an extensive GIS and data services thing. Just amazing. At BYU, one of our graduates, Mark Jackson, some of you remember Mark, he works in the library essentially, and he's produced a YouTube video on how to produce a story. So, kind of interesting. So, story maps become a creative web-based outlet, right? They can be empowering. There was a woman at Stanford working in a multiple disciplinary project, and she was so excited because she could tell these engineers and other people, look at that, I have something to contribute. She produced a story map and posted it to the web. She was real pleased with it. They can establish additional spatial analysis. I call them a gateway drug, right? It's a drug to doing real GIS. There are some barriers, and we need support staff to make sure people can know how to do it, at least the first time. There are a lot of concerns about good design and things of that nature too. But there's a lot of successful universities without geography departments. Clemson, Purdue, Harvard, Stanford, Michigan, for example. Do you know that every Ivy League college has an Esri site license and has a center for spatial analysis of some type? Every one of them, even though Dartmouth is the only department. So these are new opportunities for GIS librarians. So, sort of to conclude this, I'm not quite sure where story maps exist, okay? And how their impact is going to be. But look at that graph in England, right? Adoption, school kids adopting ArcGIS Online and story maps. Right? My challenge, Jack Dangerman said to me at the Summit Users Conference, he says, Colin, I want you to help me reach 1 billion users. Okay? So assume that every department, every school in India and China started teaching their students access to ArcGIS Online and story maps. Could happen, couldn't it? So, is this something new? Do story maps actually foster some spatial insights. I thought that when I showed you on the Lebanese families, and I thought you got some a context, you got a spatial context to stories about things, okay? Let me conclude this way. It's a great time for GIS, right? We touch everybody, right? People know what we do, right? I don't want to go into that, but we'll just do this. We now have simple, low-cost, right? Robust, cloud, web and cloud technology, high-resolution current authority. Look at New York Times, within 24 hours, drone coverage and immediate, right? Easy ways to share it and participate, location-based services, you do it every day. Suppose I took away your phone and you couldn't use Google Maps. It'd be an outrage, right? So here's our challenge, right? Can we use this technology and these sensitive data a fairer, more equitable, more efficient, greener, safer place to live while protecting the individual privacy? Thank you.